nobody's heard from me for months. I'm doing better than I ever was.
That's not really true. It's been like a month and I'm not doing really better than I ever was, but I had a good time. Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in May. May was a weird month. It just was. That's how it happened. A lot has happened since I last talked to you. I think I uploaded my April wrap-up like in the second week of May maybe, but I didn't film it then. I filmed it like at the end of April. I just took forever to upload it. And that was because I didn't want to make videos. I read a grand total of 2 books in May, and I DNF'd 2 others, so I will talk about that. May was not it. And I think this is something that I've slowly been struggling with. Like, I have not been reading as much as I did in 2022 all year. Like, my pace is basically in half of last year. Been doing a lot of other stuff, but yeah, so it's just not what I anticipated. May really showed me that when I read 2 books. I didn't make like any content, and I didn't want to, and I just finally said I'm not going to. So May was I just didn't do it. So first I'm going to show you the 2 books that I DNF'd. The first is Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. This is a high fantasy about a duo, a skilled thief and his mercenary partner. They make a living like working as hired thieves, and then they are compromised after a very high stakes, they're hired for a high stakes job, and they're basically set up on this job. I actually read about 100 pages of this. I think it was about that much on audio, and I wasn't hating it, but I wasn't super invested, and it was a 40-hour audiobook. So I decided that it just wasn't for me. This was a recommendation that I got years and years ago from someone here on BookTube that doesn't make videos anymore, and I just have been finding that the content or the recommendations I got from that person aren't working for me anymore. They probably would have worked when I got the recommendations, but as I've grown and as my reading has grown, their recommendations just aren't for me anymore, and I've noticed this a little bit over time. So I DNF'd this. I also DNF'd The Guns Above by Robin Bennis, and this is a kind of steampunk airship novel. I read the first chapter of this and I hated the main character. It was very it felt very formulaic, and I just felt like I had read this type of story before, where the like female main character is afraid that their actions are like out of bounds because they're female, and I usually like that type of story, but I didn't like this character's attitude. It was very like just abrasive to me, and I decided to just kind of give up on this. I also read some reviews to see if like the writing was really good, or if this character changed after a little bit, or like what happened. Like, it also seemed like it was gonna have like romantic undertones, and that just didn't feel like, based on the character, I felt like this was just not gonna work for me. And basically they said the characters were the good part of this book. The writing wasn't stellar, the plot wasn't fantastic. So I just decided that, you know, if the characters are what I'm not getting along with, maybe I should just stop. So I also DNF'd this after a couple of chapters. So to move on to the 2 books that I actually did finish this month, amongst doing many other things, I went to the Taylor Swift concert this month. I worked a really hectic work schedule. I also got to see a bunch of friends and we did some fun things, but like, it just wasn't a content making month, and I didn't want to. So like, I've missed you guys, but I did not miss doing videos up until like this past week. I finally felt the like urge to make videos again. I've been watching a lot of BookTube. I'm actually realizing how few BookTubers that I'm like subscribed to anymore. So if you have any suggestions, let me know, because it seems like so many people that I used to watch don't make content anymore, and that happens every so often. Like, I realize how low I'm getting on subscriptions. I'm like looking for people to watch. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, give me those down below. But anyway, books. Into what I actually read, it was The Rake-Ass by Scarlett Peckman. This is the first book in the Society of Sirens series. I think there's going to be 3 of these, and I've read the first one and I've started the second. In this, we're following Serafina, who is she's a society lady who is very controversial. She's considered like a radical because she wants women to have the same educational opportunities as men. She writes a lot, and she is in the process of writing her memoirs by moving to her childhood home, and kind of confronting some trauma and then revealing what happened to her to the world in order to kind of create this sensational memoir to raise money for a school that she's trying to help build with her friends. And Adam is the architect that is working at the estate next door, and he's kind of just a regular guy. He's a widow with 2 kids, and he's trying to take care of them and also build up a architect business and kind of support himself and his family. And the 2 of them meet, and of course they are attracted to one another. And they decide to kind of just have a fling because Serafina is not interested in emotional attachments and Adam is more interested in his family than getting involved with someone again. This book is really interesting. It's a gender flipped kind of obviously the title is Rake-ass, so it's sort of flipped on its head of Serafina is the rake in this, situation. She's not interested in getting emotionally attached. She's just interested in sexual intimacy. And the 2 of them keep meeting, keep having these interactions. And what this book taught me is that I actually like angst way more than I thought I did, and I like a little bit of miscommunication. Not so much miscommunication, just not the type we had in here. And that's totally me. This is like a 3.5 stars for me. I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time with it. I raced through it. It was one of the 2 books I finished this month, and I finished this in like a day. So I obviously enjoyed it. But for me, these 2, what I need is more tension and more angst. So they would have a disagreement, have an argument, have a misunderstanding, whatever. And then they would very quickly, like the next day or the next chapter, get resolved. And that happened for most of the book. Like obviously there's a bigger part where they have a miscommunication or a miss between the 2 of them that is like the climax of the book. But for most of the book, like it would be like tension and then very quickly resolved, which is good. Like I'm glad they were communicating, but I also needed more like tension to keep the story going. I didn't like it as much. I need more angst. That's what this book taught me. I want more angst. And maybe that is the fact that I have read so much fan fiction this year. Like I'm not reading books. I'm reading fan fiction. I'm off the deep end in fan fiction. And it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. But I'm also just... what is reading regular books? Anyway, next was The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. This is the first book in the Lockwood & Co. series. This is like a young adult paranormal story in which we're following this group of teenagers in a world where teens and kids are the ones who can see ghosts and spirits. Ghosts and spirits affect people every day. They can attack people, but adults cannot see these spirits. So kids are the ones who are working to eliminate ghosts, resolve problems with ghosts and stuff like that. And this group of kids at Lockwood & Co. are 3 trained investigators, but they don't have an adult with them, which is kind of unusual, but they're trying to make this work on their own. This reads on the younger end of YA, like it's almost like an older middle grade than a young adult book, but I really enjoyed this. I had a great time with it. Loved the world, loved the characters. I especially loved Sophie. Is her name Sophie? Lucy was awesome. I really loved her. She's like our main narrator through this. It feels a little bit like if you put Sherlock Holmes on a ghost hunting team and added like some Clue elements in there. It's so fun and I had a great time with it. The audiobook narrator was excellent, and I'm really interested about this world and seeing more of what the characters do and what more ghosts have in store for them, because they seem like really interesting characters and I had a lot of fun with this. It's spooky, but it's more spoopy than spooky, so it was fun. But that is everything that I read in all of May. I didn't have a mid-month wrap-up. I didn't really have anything in May, like I said. But this is kind of my catch-up and just wrap up for May. If you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the books I talked about, or if you want to tell me anything about your May, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how your month went and if you read anything really good, really interesting. Like I said, I read 2 books that I enjoyed, but I wanted to read more than that. I had so many books that I wanted to read in May, and I'm hoping June is better. I'm hoping to read a lot of queer books in June for Pride Month and just generally have a better reading month, because it's been a little sketchy around here. Like, honestly, like, this was like 1 book every 2 weeks for the entire month of May, and it just bothered me. I love to read and I just didn't want to do it. I also like to make videos and I didn't want to do it. So I've been doing a lot of other things. I played a lot of Zelda. I opened up my PS4 for the first time in a while. I bought more books. I also reorganized a lot of things. So this is a catch up for us. Yeah, anyway. Like I said, tell me about your May, tell me about what you read or what you did instead of reading. And if you don't feel like chatting, just leave me like a little, what's not a book stack? Like a bike emoji or just like an activity emoji, because I did all sorts of activities that weren't books this month. But I will leave you now. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, I promise I will be back sooner than a month from now. I'm hoping to be back to twice a week this month. I have a content planner and I'm ready to go. As long as I keep reading, everything will be fine. And I've read for 3 days in a row at this point, so be excited for me. Anyway, I need to stop talking. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.